Hello, hello. I am live. Sunday morning, Aman time. Yan, we are live. I am live. Walang pasok, kaya live muna tayo. While trading.
I'm not going to turn around to them now that COVID's over and say, guys, I no longer trust you to work from home. Not all jobs can be done from home. I'm a realist. There are certain roles that have to be performed in premises. Also, offices will always have a place because offices are great environments for learning, for innovation, for collaboration, and from team building. But I don't have to translate that into a statement that says, right, now work in the office 5 days a week doing emails and VCs, when I just trusted them to do things at home for the last 18 months. So I'm learning, but if you want a label, I'm probably more inclined towards the hybrid model for certain roles.
What segments of banking do you see more talent wars? So I feel like every day we have a story about junior bankers being paid $110,000, $120,000. Chinese quants apparently paying them $300,000.
Yeah, there's clearly a very hot market at the moment, particularly in investment banking, at all levels, not just the junior levels. There's a very hot market at the moment in global markets, in the trading businesses. But they go through phases. We're very fortunate in that we have some really top quality individuals that are working for us, but competition for talent is the same as competition for customers. It has always existed and always will.
Do you have to increase your prices?
Pay? I mean, we've always got to adjust. We want to make sure we're paying to market, that we're competitive, and that we're keeping our talent. So we monitor the market pay levels very closely.
Will you or your executives travel less post-pandemic?
Yes, undoubtedly. Again, it's part of the learning curve. It would be a shame if we all went back to the way it was, where we were flying around the world for 1-day trips here and 2-day trips there. So my expectation is I will probably do fewer, longer trips. My expectation is that will translate into probably a reduction in our travel budget by around about 50%.
Which is
for the bank as a whole.
Quite impressive.
Yes, that's my expectation. Now, at the moment, we're nowhere near spending the balance of the 50%, because there's still so many travel restrictions. But we've learned to live and operate in a very different way. Video conferences worked. I remember one day sitting at home, I traveled the world in a day, talking to clients in different parts of the world. Now, you can't do that forever. You still want to have face-to-face interaction. I'm desperate to see some of my colleagues in our markets and spend some time with them for a different type of interaction.
I think we're unique because now, as you can see, we are in a studio atmosphere. We're not in a remote atmosphere anymore. Then how do we kind of continue to use StreamYard is pretty much every show we have has a remote guest in. So we bring our remote guests through StreamYards. We have virtual events still with all of our season ticket holders and our VIP clients. All of that is going to be produced through StreamYard. And we have podcasts, which have guests from any location will come through via StreamYard. So for us, I mean, I have a feeling this is why we're on a stream like this with you guys for StreamYard Business, but we are extremely happy with everything we've been able to do with StreamYard.
Returning to work!
With ClickUp, our calendars have never been more in sync. Now our project timelines, meetings, and work events are all in one place. What's not going as smooth is getting my allergies our first week back in the office.
Hey ladies, if you want to learn how to trade for a living so that you can empower yourself and your finances,
Uy! Pasko na naman! Oo nga! Ilabas na natin ang ating mga parol. Iba't ibang mga ilaw. At syempre, ang lumang Christmas tree. At sabay-sabay tayo umawit ng Ninong at Ninang. Ninong at Ninang. Ninong at Ninang. Tuwing Pasko ay nangungutang. Hindi malaman, hindi malaman, hindi niya malaman kung paano niya mabibigyan. Sa dami-dami ng pumipila, hinanap hindi makilala. Kaya minsan nagiging problema ang iba, utang muna. At kung kaya't dapat mong isipin, hinanap ang iyong unahin. Kahit wala na kayong makain, buhay mo'y saswatihin. Itong si Mare, kung si Pare, hindi malaman kung anong diskarte. Minumang papasko ay swerte. Kahit paano may aginaldo na pangregalo para sa puso. Kahit na wala pang sweldo. Hamon at tinapay, handa sa habagat. Sila'y nagbibigayan at meron pang awitan.
Ninang-sita ang aginaldo ko. Gusto kong makita, nasan na ba? Ninang-sita, ako'y nandito na. Ang aginaldo ko ay akin na. Hindi mo ba nalalaman? Regalo mo'y naasahan. Hindi ko ito nalilimutan. Sana na may pagbigyan mo na. Ngayon ay Pasko na, ngayon ay Pasko na. Regalo ay nasan na? O ninong, o ninang, o ninong, o ninang, regalo ay nasan na? Ninang-sita, ako'y nandito na. Ang aginaldo ko ay akin na. Nay, darating nga ba si Santa Claus dito sa bahay ngayong gabi? Ako ba'y hindi pansin? Anong aking gagawin? Meron ba siyang dala-dalang regalo sa akin? O inay, darating na ba si Santa Claus? Ilang Pasko ko nang hinihintay. Di ko alam na sila yan, kahit na damit man lang. Tanggap kong kahit di mabigyan.
Dingaling, dingaling, tunog ng kampana. Maghanda, handa ka, tayo'y magsisimba. Ay, gising na, at bumangon ka. Sa tawag ng Mesiya, tayo ay sumamba.
Pasko na, kaibigan. Tayo ngayon dapat magdiwang, magpasalamat at magbigayan. Manunubos ay isilang. Pasko na, kaibigan. Ligayang tunay ang siyang isang puso at isipan. Magpagkailan pa man, kung ikaw ay nalulumbay, huwag mong isipin yan. sa puso at isipan, magpakailanman.
Ito na ang barkada, hawak na ang gitara, nagkakantahan, sasayawan, sila pala'y mga napata. Tayo na sa lubungin ng ngiti sa damdamin, at huwag pagsanhan yung pintuan, awitin nila'y palakpakan. O sila'y magkakasama, ang tunay ay pag-ibig na, ibigay buhay bawat pamilya, sa konting barya ay ayos na. Ito na ang barkada, hawak na ang gitara, magkakantahan, sasayawan, na pala'y mga napata.
Tomat pulutan, sa matatanda lang yan. Sa bawat tagay na matatanggap, may kurot sa pulutan. Dapat isipin at isaalang-alang, pag-inom ay dapat sa tiyan at hindi sa isipan, upang hindi pagsisihan bawat maling hakbang. Nasa ngayon tayong lahat, ligaya'y makakamtan. Pasko sa aming bayan, may kulay at may buhay, at ang bawat tahanan nagbibigay ang tunay. Kung nais mong malaman diwa ng Kapaskuhan, bakit di mo subukan sa sariling bakuran? Ang pag-ibig nasa puso dapat na mabuksan, upang ang pagbibigayan manaig sa sino man. Pasko sa aming bayan, may kulay at may buhay, at ang bawat tahanan nagbibigay ang tunay.
Sa tuwing magpapasko ay mapagbigay ka, at kung ika'y barat ay dapat nagalante ka na. Sakaling mayroon mang kaaway ay patawarin, at kung Pasko'y tapos na'y saka muling awayin. At huwag kang mawalan ng pag-asa dahil sa kanya walang imposibleng di mangyari. Bahala ka hindi ito sa pilitan, nasa sayo yan. Ito ay mamalasakit naman, kaibigan. Dapat sa tuwing mapapasko ay mapagbigay ka, at ika'y barat ay dapat nagalante ka na. Sakaling mayroon mang kaaway ay patawarin, at kung Pasko'y tapos na'y saka muling awayin.
Laging hiling ko at dalangin na ang Pasko'y maging ngitirin. Di tulad ng nagdaan ay salat ang hapagkainan. Ngayon sana'y magkaroon na hamon at keso at bola, o di kaya'y may lechon pa, sanas, uvas at serbesa. dumating. Ang nangyari, siya'y humiwalay. Iniwan akong nalulumbay. Anong lungkot ang nadarama, ngayon siya ay wala na. Sana ngayong Pasko ay ligaya, tayong dalawa'y muling magkita. At sa oras na yun, tayo'y magkaisa. Ito ang pangarap sa'yo sa tuwing na sana ngayon Pasko ay makita. Dahil ikaw lang ang ligaya sa Paskong darating, ika'y alala. Ako ang hangat sa tuwing na
Pasko, ako ay may ikukwento sa inyo. Ang bahay aking Christmas tree. Natapos nilagyan ko ng dekorasyon, mga Christmas balls at ang pine tree aking Christmas tree. Sumunod na araw ako ay may inilagay iba't ibang ilaw, mga Christmas balls at ang pine tree aking Christmas tree. Tapos naman, ito'y nilagyan ko ng mga regalo, iba't ibang ilaw, mga Christmas balls at ang pine tree aking Christmas tree. Pinakahuli na aking inilagay ang pag-ibig, mga regalo, iba't ibang ilaw at mga Christmas balls at ang pine tree aking Christmas tree. Si Jesus na sinilang doon sa sarsaban, sa dakilang araw na dapat ipagdiwang. At ng kanyang layunin tayo ay tubusin sa ating kasalanan ngayon at kailanman. At tayo ngayon dapat magkaisa sa ating kapwa, ating ipatama. At kahit hindi Pasko, tayo'y magbigayan at ating damayan ang nangangailangan. Sa kanyang pag-ibig, tayo'y magmahalan upang ang buhay natin ay hindi nasasayang.
Ibang gabi na naman, tayo ay magpuntahan. Tawag ng kampana na ating kinagisnan. Sa tuktok ng banda, tayo ay magsipunta. Bawat kaibigay, yayain na. Maligayang Pasko, ang bati ko sa inyo. Masaganang bagong taon, nawa'y mapasa atin ko. Ang bawat tahanan ay nagdidiriwang. May iba't ibang handa ang kanilang hapagan. Ako'y may kapitbahay, di ko maintindihan. Tuwing Pasko'y sarado ang bintana at pintuan. Di ko siya malaman, para bang namatayan. Nung ako'y makita, ako ay inirapan. Bakit ba siya ganon? ngayon ang kapitbahay ko'y biglang lumigaya. Kung na may nakulang, kung anong nakain niya.
Ang gusto sa akin pag nag-iisa, alaala ko ay ikaw, tanging ikaw sinta. Sana'y magbalik ka sa aking buhay. O di kaya'y palayain na ang puso ko, sinta.
Sa muli ipagdiriwang natin ang kanyang kaarawan. Magmahalan, magbigayan at yan ang tunay na kautusan. Magkasamang itaguyod natin ang aral niyang iniwan. Kung kaya't pasalamatan ang Birhen Maria na nagsilang, siyang nagbigay ng pag-asa sa bawat nilikha. Kung ika'y salat sa yaman at problema'y nakaakibat, sa buhay mong taglay ay hindi umiwalay. Kaibigan sa Diyos, ika'y magkamalay.
Ayan. Bless Duran, maraming salamat. Hello, hello, Linda Story. Good morning from Switzerland. Welcome, welcome, Linda. Linda, you're now a moderator of my channel. Welcome, welcome, Linda. Hello, Linda. Where are you from? Linda from Switzerland. What is your nationality, I mean? Yan. Negative position at Ethereum, Bitcoin, waiting for the rebound. Thank you for coming, Linda. Bless Duran, good morning, be. Nasa work ka na, be? Oh, you're from Thailand. Thank you for joining with me. Thank you so much. How are you, Linda? But I live Switzerland for 14 years. Wow, that's so great. Switzerland is a nice country. A very peaceful country, right? A country of peace treaty of every countries. Switzerland. How are you doing there now? How's life going on in Switzerland? I am fine, than you. And nice to meet you on live stream. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you too. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me here. Actually, this is very rare that I do live streaming in the morning because only today I don't have work early morning. So I decided to go on live and do my live analysis on my Ethereum Bitcoin trading because I have my open trade since last night, and one of my open position has been triggered already. Some shops still locked down until next year. Oh, the same in my country, but not until next year. Uh, 1 month in my own city. So my family now also is under lockdown. It's very sad story for us. Let me draw some trend lines here. So this is the style style of newbie trader, drawing a trend line. Okay. Because my shop I am working also still closed. Oh, sorry to hear that. Yeah, a lot of business is really affected of this. What is your business, Linda? So here I am. Let me go down to the lower time frame. But living in how's the life living in Switzerland before COVID, Linda? Switzerland is a very peaceful country, right? I am just working in the gift shop. Oh, that's nice. That's nice working in a gift shop. Okay, so before COVID is very good and always busy. Yeah, and now a lot of shops is closed, especially gift. If you especially those gift shop that serves for foreigners, right? It is very. That's why I. That's why I am. That's why you are what? What do you mean that's why you are? That's why I am what? Okay. So here I go. I am you have a lot of time. Oh yeah, everybody now have a lot of time, especially those people lost their job and YouTube is the, is become busy for those who have don't work. Sorry, my English not so good. Especially mine, Linda. Especially not mine. I'm not very good at English also. I am a Filipina, so English is a second language to me. My first language is a Filipino, so it's very difficult, especially if you're very seldom to talk to English people. Especially to actually my boss, he is an Englishman, but because we are working here in Arab and he is an Arab origin, we used to talk in Arabic also in the office. Even he will talk to me in English because I'm not good at English. I used to answer him back in Arabic. That is always our problem, both of us. So here you go. I'm waiting for the confluence of support here to hit my target. Okay. Thailand is a very nice country also. Mhm. But good luck. I am in Switzerland. There's still help for everybody until next March. Oh, that's very good. Yeah, I heard that. I heard and I read that Switzerland is a very nice country and rich on their own also and very. What I know, most of the influential people in the whole world, especially in those rich country, they used to have a bank account in Switzerland, right? Switzerland is one of the most peaceful country. That's why a lot of influential people, rich people, they used to have a Swiss account because Switzerland is a very peaceful country and they are very good at secrecy. Yeah. So now I still have a guts to hold this trade. Anyway, I have my stop loss over here. That's not gonna hit my stop loss, I'm pretty sure. So I have a live trade, Linda. This is my live account, and I have negative position in Ethereum Bitcoin because I traded early last night. I add another 2 position last night selling Ethereum, and one of my position already hit the target. Not actually the target, but the gain stop loss. We're all hope next March 2022 tourist will come back. Oh my God, 2022, yes. I hope so. I hope so, Linda, because our work, also direct to serves for tourists also because we have a product of like accessories. We have accessories product, and yesterday actually we've been visiting the 5 stars hotel here in Jordan, me and my boss, to those 4 hotels here, 4 5 stars hotel here in Jordan, to their bazaar inside the hotel. And we got out of 4 hotels that we went, we got only one deal, which is from the most expensive hotel and fancy hotel in Jordan. Yeah, we are dealing our mosaic pendant with the gold and diamonds and silver like that. But those products are specifically designed for tourists. That's why it's difficult. Even us, we have a difficult business also. So today supposed to be we're going out again for another for this second rating hotels. We have 2 target hotels again, but my boss, he sent me a message that he's going off for a morning, so we will be going later after lunch maybe. Thank you, Linda. Even the tourist shops here in Madaba in Amman, Jordan, most of them were closed. And one of my boss business deals calls yesterday that he said, don't come in our shop right now because there's no guests, no customers at all, but they are open. And hoping that this end of the year, things will come back into normal. For sure, it's not like the way it used to be before, but definitely we will go back to the normal. But maybe it's not the same. I wish good luck always coming for you. Thank you so much, Linda. Actually, some it's a bad year, but some it's a good year for somebody. Like you see, some people found their second source of income in YouTube and bind themselves to their family because they cannot go out. So it's like it become a good thing to others, but for those poor and unable to feed their family, it's very bad things, right? Thank you, Linda. Thank you so much. Nice to hear that from you. Nice to talk to you also. Do you have a channel, Linda? Drop your link, Linda. I'm gonna go and visit your channel. Right now, I have to make breakfast. Okay, have a nice breakfast. I just had my breakfast too. Enjoy your breakfast, Linda. Ayan, thank you so much, Linda and Bless Duran. Where is that song? I'm you looking for the song that I used to play here from Master Poggy channel. Tagalog worship, is it it? I think so.
Gaano man kalaki ang pagsubok na dumating sa buhay mo ngayon, ang Panginoon
in Latin America, a global oil powerhouse flush with petrodollars. Today, it's one of the poorest, and life for millions is a struggle for survival.
The economy has been flat on its back for 22 years, dragging more and more each day. Every day, hyperinflation abuses us. It doesn't allow us to eat. It doesn't allow us to get medicine.
Venezuela's decline is a story of destructive domestic politics and failed foreign intervention. It started with Hugo Chavez, the self-styled revolutionary, and it continues today with his chosen successor, President Nicolás Maduro. Venezuela used to be the biggest oil exporter to the United States, bigger than Saudi Arabia. But since 2019, U.S. sanctions have kept the country from selling most of its crude and forced it into default.
Imposing economic sanctions on the knowledge that this is going to hurt the population as a whole, it is essentially kind of targeting civilians, or at least doing something that you're aware generates significant collateral damage among non-combatants.
According to government figures, the economic embargo has wiped out some $50 billion a year of export revenue.
Si Venezuela no puede producir petróleo y venderlo.
If Venezuela can produce oil and sell it, can produce and sell its gold, can produce and sell its bauxite, can produce iron, etc., etc., and can't earn a revenue in the international market, how is it supposed to pay the holders of Venezuelan bonds?
Even Maduro, whose authoritarian regime has withstood U.S. efforts to oust him, is desperate for a deal.
This world has to change. This situation has to change.
Maduro appears on state television multiple times a week, blasting the U.S. government and its political opponents for Venezuela's troubles. But the economy was already in shambles by the time he took office in 2013. Chavez wanted to build a socialist utopia.
Soy socialista, bolivariano, cristiano, y también marxista.
When Chavez came into power, there were 4 steps you had to take to export a container of chocolate.
That's Jorge Redmond, CEO of Chocolates El Rey. He makes some of Venezuela's finest chocolate and sells it all over the world.
Today, there's 90 steps. And there are 19 ministries involved in this process of permissions and documents and whatever. So if we could go back to 4 or 5 steps, that would be a big help for our business. And that's just an example of everything else that goes on.
The U.S. sanctions go back to the presidency of George W. Bush and continued under Barack Obama. They intensified during the Trump administration, especially after Venezuela's 2018 election. Maduro won, but international observers said his victory was a sham.
La principal razón por la cual Maduro sigue ahí.
The main reason why Maduro is still there is not a lack of unity. We've had almost perfect unity in the last 12 years in Venezuela through primaries, consensus, demonstrations, and institutional legitimacy in the case of the president of the parliament. The main reason is because Maduro is a dictator.
La principal razón es porque Maduro es un dictador.
Juan Guaidó, the leader of Venezuela's legislature, is whom the U.S. recognizes as president, not Maduro.
Yo creo que hoy existe más presión.
Today there is more pressure on Maduro and his regime. What they pretended was social control degenerated into a total lack of control. Because today they can't even ensure a supply of gasoline. The country with the world's largest proven oil reserves does not have gasoline, so farmers can transport their food from the countryside to the city.
Y trasladar la comida del campo a la ciudad.
Across the country, drivers line up for hours, sometimes days, to fill up with gas. Venezuela's once mighty oil industry has been crippled. Production that peaked at almost 3.5 million barrels a day shrank to just 310,000, not enough to meet domestic demand.
2 days, more or less approximately, to line up for tomorrow. If we're lucky, tomorrow they'll fill up with gasoline.
From today until tomorrow. I have to spend the whole night here until tomorrow.
It's a disaster. A total disaster. Losing a day, a whole day of work, of rest, an entire day.
In June of 2021, Oil Minister Tarek Al-Aissami predicted the lineups would be gone in weeks, but they're still here. Across the country, infrastructure is crumbling. Poverty is everywhere. Slums blanket the hillsides as far as the eye can see. And without access to vaccines, COVID-19 is ravaging the population.
My God, we have to get out of this. Lord, please. Enough waiting already. Mr. President, please make it so these people are vaccinated. Help them.
There have never been so many poor people in Venezuela. Public services were never this bad. The income of the Venezuelan family has never been as low as today. None of the people you see here have been vaccinated, even though there is a pandemic.
Enrique Capriles is a former state governor and presidential candidate.
I think that the socio-economic situation of Venezuela is like a very thin thread that could break. It has not broken, but it could break.
Maduro knows things can't go on like this. Already, he started to unwind many of Chavez's policies.
If the restrictions, the sanctions, the persecution of the bank accounts, of the finances, of the economy, of the oil production that were forced on Venezuela, if they were forced on another country of the world, what would happen? What would they do? That's what we should ask ourselves. Look at the globe, point to another country and see what would happen. How that would affect their reality. Well, Venezuela has had to declare a war economy. We are acting on a war economy.
Price controls are mostly gone. Gasoline subsidies have been reduced. Public spending was slashed. Maduro had little choice. The economy was in a free fall. Inflation became a national obsession.
In Venezuela, there have already been 2 devaluations and the third is coming. One in 2008 and another devaluation in 2018. In 2008, they removed 3 zeros from the currency, and in 2018, they removed 5 zeros. And they are planning to remove 6 zeros from the currency. It means that inflation in Venezuela exceeds 10 zeros. This is hyperinflation.
It's
The
okay,
currency is
Linda. I am
useless.
now in your house. I am in your channel now. Watching the last day of good weather, 2021.
In Venezuela, we've never seen something like this. We have heard and read about inflations in Argentina, in Chile, and Brazil, and we've always thought, well, that's their problem. But now we find that it's very much our problem.
Venezuela's official currency, the bolivar, is almost worthless. Even the most basic goods cost millions. Nowadays, prices for just about everything are in dollars. The government is letting them circulate freely.
Starting in November, we started using only dollars, and to write down people's names, we use dollars. Because the bolivar is useless. I was selling something to people for 20 million bolivars, and soon after, I couldn't buy anything with those 20 million.
Dollarization has improved life for many. Store shelves that sat empty only a few years ago are full again. Zelle, the app that draws on dollars in U.S. bank accounts, is hugely popular.
Bajar los
Índice de inflación. Lowering inflation rates is not capitalist. It's preserving and defending the purchasing power of workers. Generating more food production is not capitalist. It's guaranteeing the food security of the Venezuelan people, a blockaded country.
Delcy Rodriguez, Maduro's vice president, is the architect of all these reforms.
Today, the Venezuelan private sector is becoming less dependent on oil income. It's becoming a sector that invests, produces, and it's finding space in Venezuela to develop its potential.
Jorge Redmond is still waiting for a rebound.
I'd like to believe in it, and I think in the end, I think the government has come to the conclusion that they need to do that because nothing works.
Porque ya habían generado el colapso de la economía.
Our economy had already collapsed, so Maduro was forced to acknowledge under the circumstances the dollarization. Maduro never established the dollarization. He didn't do it actively. It happened to him in order for his dictatorship to survive politically.
Por necesidad de sobrevivencia política de la dictadura.
For Maduro, it's a tricky balancing act. One minute, he's almost begging for negotiations to end the U.S. sanctions. The next, he's denouncing Yankee imperialism.
Yo le diría al presidente Joe Biden.
I would say to President Joe Biden, stop from the White House, from the State Department. Stop the demonization of Venezuela, the demonization of the Bolivarian Revolution, the demonization of President Nicolas Maduro. Hopefully, we can find paths of closeness, of respect, paths of mutual benefits, and paths that allow us to normalize relations between the United States and Venezuela.
Entre los Estados Unidos y Venezuela.
Just how far is Maduro willing to go?
Payment for order flow is controversial in the USA. It is prohibited on UK, Canadian, and other markets.
I want to ask about your experience as a young woman and as a woman working in this sector, and of course having that amount of scrutiny and public attention on you. South Korea doesn't have a very good record when it comes to gender relations, the wage gap, treatment of women. Did you have a personal experience of that deficit?
I was in a mechanical engineering department for 10 years for my undergrad and PhD. Of course, I was just two girls among the 120 classmates in the mechanical engineering department. And then at the time, our workshop building, we even
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro says he wants a deal to ease the U.S. sanctions that crippled his country's economy.
To establish a real, objective, credible, verifiable foundation and a negotiation process to normalize relations between the two countries in win-win terms, which has been our goal for a long time.
For the first time in years, there's some reason for optimism. The U.S. remains deeply concerned about the ongoing crisis in Venezuela, and the Biden administration has set conditions for meaningful progress, starting with electoral conditions that abide by international standards for democracy.
The optimist in me, makes me say that the sort of magnetic pull between the United States and Venezuela will overcome everything else.
What hasn't changed is the assessment of Maduro himself. Here's how President Trump summed it up during his last State of the Union.
The United States is leading a 59-nation diplomatic coalition against the socialist dictator of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. Maduro is an illegitimate ruler, a tyrant who brutalizes his people, but Maduro's grip on tyranny will be smashed and broken. Here this evening is a very brave man who carries with him the hopes, dreams, and aspirations of all Venezuelans. Joining us in the gallery is the true and legitimate president of Venezuela, Juan Guaido. Mr. President, please take this message back to you.
Maduro not only outlasted Trump, he insists the former president was ready to negotiate.
We always had contact with Donald Trump. I was about to meet with Donald Trump personally in September of 2018 when I went to the United Nations General Assembly in New York. We received the call from the White House, but we know about the pressures John Bolton and other officials around Donald Trump were applying to prevent what he wanted, which was a meeting with me. Had we met, history might be different.
You were going to go?
We were going to meet in New York. We made all the arrangements by phone to meet in New York. But in the end, the pressure was too much for him, for Donald Trump, and contact was canceled.
Lately, Maduro has been giving ground. He moved 6 political detainees from prison to house arrest, gave the opposition seats on an elections council, and allowed the World Food Program into Venezuela.
Pierde Trump.
Trump lost. There is a new administration in Washington. That administration believes that positions need to be aligned with Europe, believes that the international community needs to be aligned in the search for the recovery of democracy in Venezuela. They are ready to accompany and support the negotiation process. There are also people in Maduro's side who have noticed that the existential conflict is not good in the position they are in because there is no way to recover the country economically. I imagine the government is under heavy internal pressure.
A new round of talks between the government and the opposition is underway, mediated by Norway.
But the reality is that negotiations in Venezuela have consistently and systematically failed. So this is not the first attempt at negotiations, nor the second, nor the third.
But dialogue is a constructive step after the uprisings and insurgencies that failed to topple Maduro in 2017 and 2019. Inside the opposition, divisions are sharp. One side favors a step-by-step approach, the gradual easing of sanctions in exchange for concessions. The other side, led by Guaido, wants to keep the sanctions in force and only recently agreed to negotiate. What everyone can agree on is that conflict and confusion only help Maduro.
En definitiva, estos regímenes autoritarios.
These authoritarian regimes want to win by wearing out, by getting the world tired of fighting, by getting Venezuelans tired of demanding. That is what happened in Cuba at the time. I'm going to be very clear. We're not going to get tired of fighting or demanding our rights, because that is something very important.
Que no creen que esto hay que construirlo.
It is true that the government has cheated, deviated, but it is also true that we have made very costly mistakes. Every time we have advanced, we have arrived at a dead end. And in the end, the result hasn't weakened Maduro, but strengthened him in his position of power.
Y bueno, al final el resultado ha sido no de debilitar a Maduro, sino más bien de fortalecerlo en su posición de poder.
Maduro faces a big test in November of 2021, regional elections.
The next few months are critical to get international observers lined up for the November elections.
Will he let Venezuelans vote freely and fairly? That and more coming up in this Bloomberg special report.
Payment for order flow is controversial in the USA. It is prohibited on UK, Canadian, and other markets.
Trading revenues coming in better than expected. Everything. Cash, $1.4 trillion of cash. One of the most notable aspects of this report that was stellar.
Right now, about half of U.S. households invest. We'd like to get that number up to 95+%. Investing should be as ubiquitous as shopping online. It should just be something that people do.
Venezuela's disputed election in 2018 made President Nicolás Maduro a pariah in the West and provoked a crushing series of U.S. sanctions. Now he has a chance to reverse the damage. If the regional elections in November 2021 are considered free and fair enough, the Biden administration might relieve some of the pressure on the Venezuelan economy and its people.
I would create a humanitarian oil for food program so that Venezuela can regain access to the oil revenues that it's lost because of sanctions, and I can use them in addressing its economic and humanitarian crisis.
It appears Maduro is willing to make concessions, though he clearly won't surrender all of his negotiating leverage.
You can't put a gun to the head of the people of Venezuela. The United States telling us what we need to do. We would turn into a colony. We would turn into a protectorate.
The path forward is strewn with obstacles, like the political opposition. It's fragmented, and there's no one leader to rally around.
A president that is as unpopular as Maduro, that has so mismanaged the economy, and that is accused of the type of atrocities that Maduro is accused of, cannot win an election. What can happen is that the opposition can lose it. The opposition is in such disarray right now.
Then there's the government. From the outside, it looks like Maduro has absolute authority. Inside, it's a different story.
I'm not sure that you could say that Maduro's a traditional dictator. In other words, he doesn't really have full control. It's not a one-man. It's not like that's it. That's not the position he's in. He really has to balance off a lot of competing factions within his own party.
The longer it takes to reach a solution, the longer Maduro has to fortify his position. Without access to oil markets, he turned to China, Russia, Iran, and Cuba for help. For now, Venezuela can't issue, repay, or restructure its debt, and sanctions bar U.S. investors from trading the bonds. They're worth just pennies on the dollar.
Right now, Venezuela wants to pay, but it can't because of the blockade. I'm not going to tell you our strategy, but I will note our willingness and our commitment. Venezuela has always been a good borrower.
En el argot cotidiano y coloquial, somos un buen pagador.
Hans Humes owns Venezuelan bonds and makes frequent trips to Caracas. If the trading ban gets dropped and the government is allowed to negotiate with its lenders, He says it could be a bonanza.
Something in the sort of 50-60 range, on net present value basis, I don't think is out of the question.
Latin America has a long history of authoritarian regimes. Venezuela's surely won't be the last. Yet Maduro is clearly longing for a future that looks more like the past he once knew.
I've driven with my wife. I've driven in New York. I myself have driven New York, Boston, Baltimore, Philadelphia, the whole East. I've driven in Miami. I've had a little drink and I have danced salsa on Calle Ocho of Miami. I know the United States, Atlanta. I've gone to the place where the remains of Martin Luther King are, and all those neighborhoods. I've gone through them.
While Trump was president, many thought military intervention was the best way to change the regime in Venezuela. That's no longer on the table.
Yo no apoyaría un golpe de Estado.
I will not support a coup d'etat. A coup d'etat is what led Venezuela to this catastrophe. In 1992, Chavez tried to seize power by force. Speaking of resentment and hate to a certain sector of society, and we're seeing the consequences now.
All that was accomplished
was disaster.
Catastrophe.
Desastre, una catástrofe.
Francisco Rodriguez was chief economist to Venezuela's Congress during the Chavez years. He doesn't think there's any chance Maduro will step down before the 2024 presidential election. Not unless the U.S. gives him the one thing he craves: recognition as president, legitimacy. In exchange for an orderly exit.
Maduro would be essentially committing to not running again, to stepping down in 2024 at the end of his term, and you could do something that changes the Venezuelan situation, that opens up the space for a new figure to emerge, which might come from Chavismo, might come from the forward.
Will he or won't he run in 2012's future?
My destiny,
Maduro
my future,
won't say.
Honestly, my destiny, the most important thing is the country, and that's where our effort.
نوعية الهواء الرديئة تهدد عائلتي. الغبار ينتشر في كل مكان، والحساسية تتسبب لزوجي بالتعطيس المستمر، ناهيك عن الروائح عندما يتعلق الأمر بالطهي. لكن LG غيرت كل شيء. منقلة نوعية الهواء الرديئة تهدد عائلتي. الغبار ينتشر في كل مكان، والحساسية تتسبب لزوجي بالتعطيس المستمر، ناهيك عن الروائح عندما يتعلق الأمر بالطهي. لكن LG
isn't it, just how sensitive the markets are to any commentary about trade. And we did see some pressure on the yuan, we did see some pressure on futures. That is now being reversed.
The growth story in cannabis remains very strong, even after the sort of loosening of the pandemic. There was a worry that there might be wallet spend competition. But so far, the cannabis sector seems to be holding up very strong.
60 years ago, a Cold War fired up the space race between the Soviet Union and the United States.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
For decades, national policy and NASA technology drove the US space program. Now, billionaires lead the way.
T-minus 10, 9.
It's a new dawn
And new race
for space.
Liftoff of the Falcon 9 Crew Dragon. Go NASA, go SpaceX.
Hello, I'm Ed Ludlow.
And I'm Alex Steele. Over the next half hour, we'll explore the multi-billion-dollar 21st century space industry. Private companies are setting their goals higher and reaching them even faster, while governments around the world are pouring resources into research and development, training, and technology. But before we can understand where this is all going, we have to look at how we got here.
7, 6, 5, run for main engine start.
NASA's Space Shuttle program was a shining new phase in America's journey to the stars. The goal? Reusable rockets ferrying astronauts and cargo into orbit for decades.
Roger, Columbia.
At first, it did just that. Launches and landings became routine, and space just another destination until the Challenger.
The program just couldn't shake safety concerns, and disaster struck again in 2003 when the shuttle Columbia disintegrated upon re-entry, killing everyone aboard.
We had to do our morning. A very, very, very tough situation. Lots of crying. Lots of crying.
When the US shuttle program was shut down in 2011, the government officially portrayed it as a redirection of NASA's focus towards deep space exploration.
I have been pushing NASA to revamp its vision. Now what we need is that next technological breakthrough.
Space is really a hard thing to do. And I think one of the issues we'd had with our stakeholders was NASA wasn't really allowed to fail.
In reality, turning around reusable rockets took a lot of time, and flying into space just cost a lot of money. The U.S. spent $209